2025 can be considered a pretty solid year for video games, if you don't take into account all the drama and the overall trend of user experience getting worse, of course. This year brought a lot of high-quality titles for every taste, provided you actually have time to play all of them. And despite the fact that I've played a lot of recent high-budget games, I still want to highlight the indies, smaller titles developed either by a small team or even by one person. These kinds of games have long been almost the backbone of industry's success, but it really feels like in the last year or two we're witnessing something like a renaissance of indie games. So many genuinely cool releases are coming out that your eyes just can't keep up. I don't know about others, but if I create my own personal statistics, lately I've been getting more enjoyment exactly from these smaller titles. On this channel I've been making certain recommendation lists with video games I suggest you play, and this time I wanted to talk specifically about indies. Few of them are nominated at the Game Awards, so some viewers could know them, and others might be watching when the winner is already known. I'm not planning to make any predictions. This is purely a video about good games I personally played and that I would like to recommend. Before we begin, I need to tell this. Most of the games we'll be talking about are roguelikes with fairly simple visuals. I know that some players don't like either of those things. Keep that in mind. And let me say this right away. Silksong will not be on the list. Yes, it's a great game, enjoy it, nobody is against that. But personally I haven't played even the first game, even though I bought it. And this list about other games, which by the way plays perfectly on Steam Deck. And the list is not ordered by preference. I liked all the games, it's just a random order. That's all with the bureaucracy, let's move to the games themselves. The first one on the list will be a godlike game, the sequel of Hades. I've played the first game a lot, so obviously I was going to buy this one too, because both then and now I consider the first game is one of the best representatives of its genre, and the second one too, honestly. The game came out in early access back in 2024, and the official release happened in the end of the 2025. When I first started playing, I practically didn't notice any difference from the first game. Something was polished, something optimized, but overall they didn't feel drastically different, except for the new protagonist and her abilities, of course. However, then I decided to try the first game again because I had frankly forgotten how exactly it played, and as soon as I compared both games more closely, it became clear just how different they actually are. If we generalize the gameplay, I'll say this: the original is pretty tiresome. The sequel is much better optimized for long sessions. The difficulty itself is better crafted, the progression system is more polished, and there's simply more content overall. Story-wise, now we play as Melinoia, the sister of Zagreus from the first game. The Titan Kronos, father of Hades, has returned to the world of the living, and now he wants revenge. For the most part, he succeeded. At the start of the game, he has taken over the father's home, captured him, and then decided to attack Olympus itself. Our goal is to defeat him and restore everything to its rightful place. The problem is that Kronos is the master of time, and his defeat only gives us a short breather. To completely defeat him, Melinoia will have to use time and dreams to connect with her brother, who exists in the past, so that we can strike the Titan at the same time. That's if we describe the plot briefly. In general, the sequel improves on every possible element of the original. The visual style has become even sharper, more thoughtful. They even redesigned some characters we had already met before. In my opinion, the developers, Supergiant Games, are almost the best in the industry when it comes to modernizing ancient heroes. But in the sequel, they managed to surpass even themselves. Every modernized god or character in terms of design is just an A+. You could talk for hours purely about this aspect. Just look at the coloring, at those lines, at the overall concepts. The visual in Hades are simply phenomenal. If you don't like roguelikes or roguelites, play it just for this aspect. Artistically, this is one of the best games I've ever played. Speaking of overall design, not the visuals, the game itself has become more mature and serious. Our protagonist, Melinoia, is sensitive, intelligent and genuinely interesting young woman. If you compare her to Zagreus, whom I also liked back in the day, it's like night and day. When I decided to refresh my memory for the video, he actually started to annoy me. He behaves like some spoiled kid with his phrases, while Melanoia is written in a much more compelling way. She's more mature and in general feels more adult. If we talk about the content itself, in the original the developers didn't really know what to do with the ending, with a successful run as such. The game focuses more on the process than the goal. Defeat your father a few times to see the true ending. In the sequel they worked this out. They created significantly more dialogue after each victory, made the character's progression more organic and tied it into the story. Instead of complete a few floors 20 times, now we have a clear structure. For example, now we can go to the surface, since story-wise Olympus is under siege. So you can go not only down, but up as well. I used to think you couldn't make the game design more organic than it was in the first game, but the sequel proves that you absolutely can. A fantastic game, I definitely recommend not skipping it. And both games are among the best titles for Steam Deck in terms of controls and technical performance. Moving on. The next game on this small list is Ball & Pit, probably my favorite game I played this year. Concept-wise, it's a roguelike combined with bullet hell, or as it's trendy to say now, a manic shooter. The core gameplay is to move through a narrow path upward and finish in each run with a boss fight. Enemies fall down on us from above, like in Tetris, and we have to destroy them before they drop to the bottom of the screen. For this we have our main ball, small baby balls and passive abilities. The progression is kinda copied from Vampire Survivors. Anyone who played it will immediately catch the familiar ideas, but in general Ball & Pit is a combination of several games in one. Let me explain. Story-wise, some magical meteorite has fallen onto the Tower of Babel and we descend floor by floor in search of treasure. There are 8 levels total, which feel more like biomes. At the end of each one, there's a boss we have to defeat. Every time we do this, we get gears that allow us to repair the elevator and descend further. That's the main progression system. On top of that, there's a base building mechanic at the top of the tower. The buildings come in 3 types: economic, military and residential. Economic buildings give us the ability to collect local resources: stone, wheat, wood and gold, which we use to build and upgrade our infrastructure. Military buildings give us bonuses and upgrades directly in combat, while residential ones unlock new characters, whose houses can also provide different improvements. I mentioned Tetris not by accident. Our building area has limited space, and the buildings themselves have distinct recognizable shapes. So aside from the economic layer, we're also playing with this mechanic. If we speak about combat, the gameplay have a lot of similarities with good old Pong, where you move a paddle at the bottom and bounce balls back upward. There's even a character who literally recreates this mechanic. So really Ball & Pit is a modern fusion of Tetris, Pong and bullet hell. This combination works so well that I literally couldn't pull myself away from the game. Usually I rarely bother with achievement hunting, and in the many years I've owned my account with over 700 games, the only titles I've completed at 100% are Synthetic and this one. Until I fully completed everything and unlocked every character, I simply couldn't calm down. The game grabbed me so hard, it's difficult to even describe. I didn't think anything could impress me that much anymore. And what exactly made me love this game so much? First of all, the visual style. Not only does the game have a cool art direction, the different levels, hand-drawn enemies, cool bosses, stylish effects, and unlike Vampire Survivors, where at some point you simply cannot see anything because of the explosions, here everything is visible. On top of that, everything is made in low poly charm, which gives it a unique vibe on its own. I also loved the music. And not just loved, the tracks instantly went to my phone playlist. The local electronic compositions are just something else, and they're well mixed too. Throughout levels they can shift, fade and evolve, and honestly, this is the kind of sound quality you don't always hear even in some AAA games. Finally, the gameplay itself is a fantastic take on the roguelike formula. Dynamic, engaging, with tons of builds, upgrades and a variety of characters. The game's concepts are clear, polished and they just hook you. But unfortunately, the game is not without downsides. The overall amount of content isn't very large. I farmed all achievements in about 30 hours, and after that I was just doing casual runs for fun and recording footage for the video. You will get unique content only for around 15 hours, and after that only variations. Overall, not bad for an indie game for a few bucks, but honestly I want more. I really hope we'll get updates in the future. But even in its current state, the game hooked me to the screen, and I absolutely recommend it. Next, let's talk about the sequel to Monster Train, the continuation of a fantastic deck building roguelike. If we compare the sequel to the original, the second game improves practically every element. The cards themselves, their synergy, the clans, the progression, and on top of that, the game has become noticeably harder. I went back to the first game and without its DLC everything plays pretty easy, without much challenge. This is one of those rare cases where the second game truly expands on the foundation of the first, instead of simply copying and pasting the same stuff. For those unfamiliar with this game or card games in general, what are we doing here? In the first game we boarded a train and assaulted heavens, where angels were our enemies. Our train serves as both our base and our battlefield. There's a preparation phase where we play our cards, and then an action phase. Throughout the run, we gather new cards and modify the ones we already have. The game takes concepts from the now legendary Slay the Spire, but plays them in its own way. We control multiple fighters instead of a single character, but the synergy with attack, defense, spell boosts and so on remains. Anyone who played Slay the Spire will immediately recognize the parallels. Our goal is to reach the final station and at the same time prevent enemies from reaching our train's engine. Gameplay-wise, each turn enemies move up one floor. There are 3 passenger floors and final one with the core. And during those turns, we use our cards and fight the enemies. That's pretty much it. Simple, but as the saying goes, easy to learn, hard to master. We have different clans, lots of enemies, buffs, debuffs, the ability to upgrade cards. In the second game, we've allied ourselves with the angels, so now we have new possibilities for building our deck. The sequel also has the better story, though it still remains mediocre, and added customization options for our train. Basically, you just need to sit down and play it. The unpleasant part, the design of some monsters is a bit odd, let's say it that way. It lacks artistic clarity. In the first game the creatures looked better, at least in my opinion, and overall I personally find it more comfortable to play on a PC. You can play it on the Steam Deck, the game is verified for it, but using a mouse feels much more convenient. Even with all that, the second game is still one of the best card games I've played in a long time. The most important part, it doesn't make the original obsolete. So if you like games of this type, this is definitely a must-have. Another game is Megabonk. I think most of you heard about it because of the small drama that revolved around the Game Awards. The creator decided to remove the game from the competition because he wasn't actually a newcomer to the industry. This wasn't his first project. So for the sake of fairness, he chose not to participate. Later though, the game came back to the competition, but in different category. Rumor has it the developer is none other than DunnyDev, a fairly popular YouTuber who already made other titles before this one. However, there's still no solid confirmation of that. I won't focus on that, whoever's interested can look it up themselves. We are going back to the game. Conceptually, this is another variation of Vampire Survivors, but this time blended with elements from another well-known roguelike, Risk of Rain. From Vampire Survivors we get hordes of enemies, in-fight leveling and general progression. From Risk of Rain we get the 3D environment searching for portals with bosses, traveling between levels, unique characters and secondary progression. As a result, we get an insanely addictive formula that's genuinely hard to step away from. The slight flatness of Vampire Survivors is shaken up by a 3D space with jumping and sliding, which makes this game even more dynamic. Beyond that, the game is packed with humor and memes, though for me personally this is also a downside, not because of the sheer number of jokes, but because of their quality. You're unlikely to see anything other than humor of the level 6-7 jokes that American high schoolers like to repeat. This is really a matter of taste. Some people will love it, others not so much. Compared to the previous games in our list, Megabonk is the most interesting when it comes to secrets. To unlock characters, tomes, weapons and items, you need to complete specific actions. Sometimes it's as simple as finding an object in a level, but sometimes it's something really unique. As a result, the game truly offers a solid amount of replayability. At the time this video is being made, I've played almost 30 hours and there's still not even a hint that the content is running out. Judging by what I've unlocked so far, I've only cleared about half of it. And honestly, I'm really enjoying searching for everything and completing all the different quests. All of this is backed by great soundtrack. In my opinion, the game fully deserves the title of Indie of the Year, regardless of whether the developer has made other games before or not. Fun, dynamic, interesting. Absolutely recommend. The next game I've discovered completely by accident. I saw it in a video by a British gaming blogger I sometimes watch. After that, Nine Kings caught my attention and during the first sale I immediately bought it. Before I played Ball and Pit, this title was actually my main contender for the Game of the Year. It trapped me like crazy. So what do we have here? Nine Kings is an unusual take on the tower defense genre mixed with a roguelike. Typically for the genre, we have our main building, each king has its own, and then we build everything out with towers or units. So what's the twist? Traditionally, tower defense revolves around a path leading to your base, and you try to stop enemies along the route. Here, they decided to abandon this completely, and instead of corridors, everything happens on an open field. The game gives you fixed spots for buildings. Our structure or unit equals one tile. After surviving a wave, you can play your cards. Our options aren't static. We build using our deck. Because of that, the game has excellent replayability. We get cards not only for our king, but also from the enemies currently attacking us. On top of that, card combinations aren't the only form of synergy. Since there isn't much building space, there are certain optimal builds for maximum efficiency. Some buildings improve specific tiles, so you should play around your base. The kings themselves are quite different, which creates interesting gameplay variety. One focuses more on armies, another on gold manipulation, a third one on defensive structures and so on. Even though the class cards don't change, we can level up the kings and unlock perks that alter our tactics. Gameplay-wise, it's a pretty unique card-based tower defense. The game is fairly dynamic, which is unusual for the genre. Some people might not like the simple visual style, especially when it comes to the units. Still, overall, the game has a wonderful art style, and I feel like the designs even have a potential for a future story expansion. All of this is supported by a great soundtrack, though unlike Ball and Pit, it's not publicly available yet. That's a bit disappointing. But oddly enough, the game has an ace up its sleeve. Nine Kings is constantly being updated. In just a couple of months of owning this game, I've seen updates nearly every week. Most recently, they've added a new king and even introduced a global mode with a world map, something they've never promised. At this pace, this game could genuinely grow into a giant. If not an indie titan, then at least a titan of its genre. The game has excellent reviews and absolutely earns my recommendation. And that's it for my list of top indies. Those 5 titles genuinely managed to captivate me and give me a ton of great time. And despite it being a pretty successful year for the industry overall, these games still managed to stand out. Which once again proves, it doesn't matter what kind of budget a game has. The main thing is that it's fun to play. I hope I was able to show you something new, maybe spark an interest and maybe even convince you to pick one of these awesome games. They truly deserve it.